Hi there. Hope you're doing really, really well. And welcome to this kind of special edition here where I'm combining this, I'm filming this as a live rather than using my phone because it was just easier. And this is also a little bit of it's kind of like a journal club here. Journal club is where you look at an article and kind of like, review it and see what you can learn from it. And this was a Lida who is, I don't know if we connected first or Lida came to the YouTube channel or if she was initially a client on my app, Bedtime with a Y. Check it out if you have an iPhone. But she said, why don't you talk a little bit about menopause and insomnia? Because a lot of people, that's a big problem. And I definitely see that a lot in clinic, that it's such a common reason for insomnia. So many women tell me it started with menopause or had a little problem, but it really came out menopause. So it's a big issue for sure. So I'm looking at an article called Sleep Problems During Menopausal Transition, which I found was really good. If you just Google menopause insomnia review, is the first one that pops up. The first lead author is Fiona Baker. So let's take a look at it, and then we'll talk about what we find here. So I wanted to start off actually by kind of prevalence, looking at how common it is. And now I'm sorry to waste your time here. I can't find it, but I will find it. Polysomorphic measures. And all right, I couldn't find that spot actually, but I remember what it said. So it said that if you look at kind of women in menopause, then 41 to 56% or something like that, like mid 40s to mid 50s % report having significant problems with sleep, which is a huge number. Half of all women in menopause have significant sleep problems. And guess what? All women go through menopause, which means that there's a segment of women out there of which tons have sleep problems. Well, that said, it also said in the same article here that about 31% of women that are not in the menopause have problems, which is also a very, very big number, but still it goes up significantly during menopause. Now, interesting here, going down to a section called hot flashes and reported sleep difficulties, it talks about how what really seems to kind of correlate with how much sleep trouble you have is how many hot flashes you have. And I guess, this subject is, I'm fairly ignorant when it comes to this subject overall, but so it could be that just the more hot flashes you have, the more miserable you're overall. So maybe no surprise there, but still, I took note of that hot flashes particularly seem to be the more you have, the more trouble sleeping you have. Now, what I wanted to actually focus on was okay, the treatment portion of this, and then we can have a discussion. It said here that there had been studies on looking at various ways of treating kind of perimenopausal insomnia. And when you use hormonal replacement therapy, then that does help. Studies have shown that if you can reduce these hot flashes by replacing hormones, then that does reduce the insomnia, which is not surprising at all, right? It's kind of if you have ongoing pain and you treat the pain, you're going to sleep better for sure, right? If you have hot flashes and you have less of them, you are going to sleep better, absolutely. But check this out. This is the most important thing I thought about this article was towards the end, and they report they talk about CBTi, and they say that it's it's the first line treatment for insomnia in general, and it should be thought of that even if for women that are in menopause as well. And now they wrote here, CBTi has recently been evaluated specifically for insomnia during this menopausal transition. McCurry and colleagues, so that's an article here, conducted a randomized clinical trial on 106 peri and postmenopausal women with insomnia symptoms and over 2 hot flashes daily, comparing 8-week telephone-administered CBTi with menopause education as control. Compared to the control condition, the CBTi condition had significantly greater reduction in insomnia symptoms and greater improvements in self-reported sleep quality. These improvements were maintained at 6 months post-treatment and were clinically meaningful. Check this out. Interestingly, there were no group differences in ratings of hot flashes frequency, day or night, severity, or the bother, although hot flash-related interference was reduced mostly due to reduction in sleep-related interference from hot flashes, suggesting that women may still have woken up in association with hot flashes, but were able to return to sleep faster in the treatment group. And that whole segment is completely aligned with my thinking. So this was not a thorough review. We just kind of touched on some things, but here's what I feel is really important. Many with insomnia feel like their insomnia is different, and like the trigger is different. Like for some person was triggered by this, for some person is triggered by that. Like what is different with menopausal insomnia is that you have kind of an ongoing trigger for several years. That is true. Like that makes it different. But as we have seen, like if the only kind of problem was the menopause itself, the menopausal process and the hot flashes, then like reducing those should pretty much, cure the insomnia, quote unquote. But, and this is not this study, but I seen an abstract, which I honestly don't have the reference for, but it was somebody tweeted it out, and I thought it was really interesting. They've done a study where they randomized people, women, really, menopausal women, perimenopausal women, to different treatment modes. And if you compared hormonal replacement versus cognitive behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy was more effective, which again is completely aligned with my thinking, which is, yes, the hot flashes, the menopausal process is a trigger, no question about that. But it is the reaction to the trigger. It's the reaction to the sleeplessness caused by the hot flashes that is the real problem. So in that sense, insomnia in menopausal women is just the same as any other insomnia. It's always good to know that and feel that. It's the reaction that's the problem. It's the reaction that I can work on with CBTi. The CBTi doesn't change the hot flashes, but guess what? It helps you sleep better. Understanding why you have insomnia and spending less time in bed and shifting my attention, all these like core CBT techniques really help, even if you are a menopausal or perimenopausal woman. So I hope this helped, Lida, and thanks so much for that request. I feel like the videos I do when somebody has like asked me are better than, often more practical than my own like philosophizing and come up with analogies and whatnot. But anyway, I hope this helped, and that you have a really nice day, everyone that tuned in here.